Hey, what's going on, people? Your boy, man, Mike, coming at you guys with more Atlanta Falcons content, man. This is a question from the Big Grizzly Goof. Why y'all feelings about another man's handling his business, regardless of y'all opinion? He will beat the Falcons to the punch. Never forget how the Falcons did Roddy White. Y'all need to pull your skirts down. Business is business, and this is a comment that I just don't agree with at all. Business is business, all right? That may be the case, but there's still a way you can go about conducting business. There's bad ways and there's good ways. And what Julio did was not a professional way. What the Falcons did with Roddy White was professional, okay? They didn't bash Roddy. They didn't, have a smear campaign when it came down to Roddy White. They didn't have a smear campaign when it came down to Julio Jones. The Falcons simply made a move that had to be that had to be done. And when you talk about Roddy White, I love when people bring up Roddy White because they try to use that as a way that the Falcons did him wrong. Maybe not. I can say with all honesty that, maybe the Falcons, at the time, I thought to myself, it's like, okay, they did Roddy White. Why you do Roddy White like this? Roddy was one, he wasn't the same receiver that he was. He was obviously in the twilight of his career. He was, towards the end of his career. And when you have a young coach like a Kyle Shanahan that you invested your offense, you invested your time, and he is the guy that's going to help Matt Ryan become a better quarterback, and those guys ended up being, a pretty good duo as far as play calling. Matt Ryan knew Kyle Shanahan, for the most part. Kyle Shanahan knew what Matt Ryan did well, and those guys had a tremendous year together. So the Falcons did the right thing at the time. Kyle Shanahan was a guy that helped them get to a Super Bowl. No matter how I feel about Roddy White in that situation, Roddy White wasn't going to help us get to the Super Bowl. Roddy White was absolutely in the twilight at the end of his career. He wasn't the same wide receiver. Yes, he's a well-respected receiver, he did things the right way for the most part. He had a big mouth, and at the time, man, like I said, I was in my feelings about that. I'm not going to say that I wasn't in my feelings about, the Falcons releasing Roddy White and how they went about it. But when you look at it from a business standpoint, what am I going to do? Would I get rid of Roddy White, or would I fire Kyle Shanahan? And Roddy White is, at that time, he just wasn't the same receiver. He had knee injuries. He still was an effective receiver. It kind of phased him out of offense. When you have a battle between the coaches and, the offensive coordinator and the players, 9 times out of 10, the organization is going to side with the coach. So, depending on the players, his skill set, if it was Roddy White, if it was Julio Jones versus Kyle Shanahan, and that would have made it really interesting. So the Falcons just made the right decision at the time. So I understand what you're trying to say, that business is business, but again, I don't know how many times we're gonna reiterate this. Julio Jones did not go about it the right way. All right, I always tell people this all the time, and I know a lot of you guys have heard this before. There's consequences for every action. When you go and you make things public, an issue that the Falcons wanted to make, they wanted to, go about things quietly. They didn't want it in the media. Julio Jones made it, he made it public. So when it all comes down to it, man, I understand business is business, and this is how. This is the nature of the beast. All right, it's the nature of the beast. Business is business, but you still, even as a professional athlete, you're looking out for yourself. it's still a team game. This is not tennis. This is not, UFC UFC fighting. This is not boxing where you have, to look out for yourself for the most part. This is a team game. And when you do things, like this, like Julio Jones, take things to the media, sit down with Shannon Sharp. He knew exactly what he was doing. He sat down with him and, he made the decision to do what he did, and it backfired. So, Grizzly, look, man, I just don't agree with you here. I want to know what you guys think about this, man. Does he have a point? Are we in our feelings about another man's business? Leave leave a comment below, man, because like I said, and Triple G, even on this comment, man, he said Roddy White never held out to be the highest paid receiver, nor his contract restructured prematurely in his favor. Like, that's another thing. Like, Julio never gave any money back to this organization so we could make, have a better team. We've seen Deion Jones do this. We've seen Matt Ryan do this. We've seen Jake Matthews do this. At some point, I feel as though that Grady Jerry's going to be another one of those guys. So when you look at, Julio Jones, man, there's a lot of things that he just hasn't not done. And it leaves a major question in my mind on whether or not Julio Jones is truly a team player or he's one of those guys. He, pretends to be all in, but if he's not getting what he wants, then, Julio Jones is going to pout, he's going to bitch, he's going to moan, he's going to complain, and that's the way it's looking right now. Julio Jones is looking like a selfish player that doesn't really, truly look out for this player. And I hear a lot of people, look, I said it again, Roddy White never held out. Roddy White, all right, he never held out to get money. And, like one thing the NFL does is, like, teams very seldom agree to renegotiate your contract when you have, when it's not in the final year. That's typically when teams start to start negotiating your contract if they want to resign you and keep you with the team around the last year of your deal. Julio Jones had 2 years left on this contract, and the Falcons decided to go against protocol to make Julio Jones feel well, all right, to accommodate Julio Jones. Julio Jones never once renegotiate his contract, restructure his contract to make sure that we can get a free agent here, to get a free agent there. Julio Jones never did that, all right? Roddy White, again, he was not one of those guys who was selfish, looking for money and all that. Look, he wasn't that. This is what Julio did. So these situations are completely different. Roddy White is a team player, always has been a team player. And at the time, Roddy White was just at the end of his career, and the Falcons could not commit to him over Kyle Shanahan. That's just common sense, all right? That's just common sense. As much as I love Roddy White, the Falcons made the right decision at that moment. So let me know what you guys think about this, man. Leave your comments below. Your boy, man, Mike is out, man. Peace.